It's a beautiful day on the South Strand. Welcome to Conversations with the Hoff. I'm Steve Hoffman, your host, and with me in the studio today are Randy Oporowski and Trip Detmering.
Yay!
We also have a special guest with us today, Brian Sweeny. Brian is a well-known voice in Horry County, particularly around Myrtle Beach, where he's built a following through his sharp takes on local politics, community issues, and conservative commentary. As the producer and host of Regular Joe, Brian delivers straightforward, no-nonsense discussions about politics right here on the beautiful Grand Strand. He's also a Horry County business owner who's even stepped into the political arena himself, running for South Carolina House District 106 as a Republican, which shows his commitment to getting involved beyond just the microphone. Welcome to Conversations with the Hoff, Brian.
Thanks so much for having me. I hope my presence here doesn't turn people off.
You're still trying to get shadow banned or canceled on Facebook.
I'm working on it, yeah.
Earlier conversations, he was so disappointed that he hasn't been hammered yet like the rest of us.
But I have been on Nextdoor.
There you go.
So before we get into our political discussions, what's happening in the wonderful world of Regular Joe, Brian?
What's not happening? Mostly, I've been doing posts as blogs as opposed to posting because of my partner in crime, so to speak, has some issues with his father up in New York, and I've had issues with my brother who was sick for a long time and actually just passed fairly recently. But we're now going to get together again to do some podcasts, video podcasts.
Your partner looks like Ed McMahon.
Okay.
Yeah, what do we do with that?
I don't know. You told me you had hearing problems, but I think maybe you ought to get your glasses cut too.
Very good. Very good.
I don't think he looks like Ed McMahon, and I sure as hell don't look like Carson.
I like watching your show. So I'd like to start off with I do watch your podcasts, and I watch Regular Joe on Rumble, and it's very enlightening. One of the podcasts I'd like you to talk about is the one that was called Cry Baby Kathy, and it's one of my concerns about the types of Republicans that we elect to our state legislature. Now, this particular person actually endorsed two incumbent Republicans who are doing an outstanding job for the citizens of Horry County. Yes, I'm being tactful, because they had very, very low Freedom Index scores, like in the 20s, 29 and 24. And I wonder, why is that happening? Why are we electing Republicans in our so-called conservative state to the legislature that really don't respect the concepts of limited government, individual, and economic freedom? Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, but I'm gonna try to be my polite best, which drains my batteries. A question you might ask in the same context is the two people that she was endorsing were Val Guest and Carla Schussler, who Carla Schussler is District 61, Val Guest is District 106. And at this point in time, could change, neither one of them has a contender for the Republican nomination. And one of the things you're going to sort of, how does this stuff happen is if you look at who contributes to the campaigns, and that's readily done. I mean, it's all public information. You just have to know where to look, sort of like getting into Diagon Alley. That's for Harry Potter fans.
Yeah, I was going to
say. You just have to know where to look, and you look at who contributes to these candidates, and you know they're well funded by certain establishment types And it takes a lot of money to run a campaign. And not everybody has that kind of coin.
No.
That's probably why we don't really need general elections in our particular section of South Carolina, because whoever wins the primary is going to be our next legislature.
It's almost like a coronation then.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So sort of I would say rubber stamp. But if you look at who's running, just Val Guest he ran in 22-1. Prior to that, Val Guest had very little to do with any kind of politics.
I used to be a Republican. Sorry about that. And I used to attend all the meetings. I was even the vice chair for a while. I never, ever saw Val Guest at any meeting or any Republican event. So that's a good point.
Well, and Carla Sisler.
And now he's my representative.
Yeah, and Carla Sisler was working as the chief administrative officer for a law firm. The owner of the law firm was the former chair of the Horry County Democratic Party. So she had no political involvement either. You never saw either one of them at any of the Horry County GOP meetings. And not just speaking about those two, but the entire Horry County legislative delegation. You'll see them maybe once or twice at an HCGOP meeting, maybe a month before the primary, but that's it. They don't, as a general rule, ever attend the meetings, even when they're not in session.
So one has to wonder, do they really represent the Republicans in Horry County? If you go to the ethics page and look at their funding, they're funded by special interest groups. What percentage of individual contributions do you see in their campaign donations?
Generally, and this generally, in terms of dollars, and keep in mind there are limitations on what you can contribute to a person depending upon what office they're running for, and depending upon how many LLCs you have set up in order to sidestep the intent of the rules. 60%, 70% of the money comes from PACs, corporations, that sort of thing. And if you then slice and dice it so that you look at the PACs and corporations, and then you remove the repeat offenders, so you focus on just the separate names that are actually contributing multiple times, and then if you look at the people, individuals, you can do the same thing, and these people can contribute multiple times. But if you slice through all of that and just eliminate the repeat offenders, the numbers of people that actually contribute, and I mean people, forget the campaigns or corporations for the moment, but the number of people in the district that actually contribute to the election of these folks is minuscule.
Well, another thing that from an outside observer looking at what goes on in the GOP local group, it seems like any of the activists, the GOP activists that run for office, never seem to get the backing. And I don't know if it's because they're so independent and independent thinking and forward thinking and doing things, going out and protesting things or posting things, that they don't think they're an attractive candidate or something like that.
When you say backing from
these financial groups, these PACs, these influential businesses, and so on.
Well, I'm trying to be open-minded here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying.
I get it. The duct tape seems to be cracking a little bit.
Yes, but incumbents, have the benefit of incumbency. So you've got, and one of my favorite corporate targets is Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, because a lot of their money comes from tax dollars.
Yeah.
And they contribute bundles of money to the establishment causes, the incumbents. And you can sort of understand why they do that, because they want these folks to vote in their favor.
Yeah.
And these folks are an incumbent. And these folks who are incumbents have the money behind them, some of which from the corporations or PACs, some of them from Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce related PACs, not from the chamber itself, but from
Yeah.
related, their own affiliated entities.
From the affiliated entities that go around handing out their envelopes.
So,
You're being tactful.
Yeah.
Those PACs are funded by the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce, period.
I did not say that, folks, and this, I'm too polite to contradict Steve, but I also want it known, well, I mean, just full disclosure, I am involved in a lawsuit with the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, so the opinions on this show are basically mine, not yours.
Well, on that particular subject, yes. So but I just, everyone knows that. So I'm going to kind of say, I want everyone to know that just so that it's out in the open.
You know, Brian, I forgot to tell you that you're surrounded by libertarians on this show. But don't worry, we're basically peaceful. So,
Well, I mean, yeah, we live by the NAP, which is the non-aggression principle.
What is
Well,
the
politics in South Carolina is a blood sport. So,
Probably why we're not so successful.
What's the overall like axis of power with the Horry County GOP? Is it donors and developers, or is it like a Reese Boyd top-down dynamic, or
no, Reese Boyd. No, I'm not saying Reese Boyd's behind that. No, Reese Boyd, I'm sure knows a lot of the people there, as do I. But no, he's not the funding mechanism or anything. No, the people will have a hard time believing this, but it is true, and you can find it on the tax filings from the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. But their annual revenue is now, give or take, $83 million. Most of that is tax dollars in some manner, shape, or form.
Well, percentage-wise, it's more than 85%, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
it's a misconception to think that the county GOP has any power whatsoever or any influence whatsoever in determining who's going to be representing us at the state legislature. Matter of fact, many of those elected officials rarely, if ever, go to county GOP events.
That's true, and I go to county GOP events, and very rare is it that you have an elected official show up, not counting if they're speaking.
Okay.
But the meetings are held typically on a Monday night, which once a month, or the business meetings are supposed to be at least once a quarter. But particularly in this active political campaign season, they have them typically once a month, and you will have elected officials come to speak, but they don't come on any routine basis as attendees or just regular members of the HCGOP.
Do you want to talk about the TDF, the Tourism Development Fund, which I call the root of all evil in Horry County? If you don't want to talk about it, I will totally understand.
Well, the TDF is Tourist Development Fund fee, and it was intended, or I shouldn't say it was intended. The purpose was to generate money so that in this case, the chamber could attract out-of-state tourists to the Myrtle Beach Grand Strand area.
No, but historically,
out-of-state.
Historically, though, it occurred at a time that we had an economic downturn, and it was supposed to be a temporary program, and it was supposed to sundown.
Well, the original term was 10 years.
And it's passed. We've already...
It was renewed in 2019.
Right. And again, it was supposed to sundown, but it was supposed to get us through that economic downturn that we experienced. As a matter of fact, people applauded that we made that effort to go through. Now, the only problem is that there was a component to it that was to buy votes, and that component had to do with people's property taxes.
goodness, where did you get that from?
I'm a libertarian. I do read.
Goodness has nothing to do with it.
That's right.
Mae West.
Yeah.
It's quite a unique fee. It's so unique that the FBI had a field office in Myrtle Beach for many years to investigate how that TDF bill was actually passed.
And also to investigate Randy O. You know, it's
Does it go through Columbia?
What?
It had to be passed by
circle
Columbia,
back to Horry
the state.
County, the
Yeah.
whole tourism development fund thing.
yeah, filters.
So here you had a bill that was.
They
Go ahead.
also get the A tax, the accommodations tax. The TDF they get, and they also get I'll call it matching dollars from the Parks and Recreation Department. And I say matching because the department will match if you say that you can produce $15 million worth of separate revenue. They will match 50% of that. So but typically with the chamber, they're picking up $5, $6, $7.5 million a year from that Parks and Recreation tax too.
Episode 1 of Microphone Monkeys drops this Thursday, January 15th. If you are into sadism, or just pain in general, tune in on your favourite podcast platform like Spotify or Apple Podcast and more.
I can tell you that the Parks and Recreation tax is going to good use, because where would the homeless sleep in Myrtle Beach if not in Chapin Park?
Well, luckily we have Chapin Library, so they have a place to urinate.
Oh, there you go. Sure.
But they've been shutting down the local, what do you call it, the fountains and so on. So now they have a difficult place to find to bathe and shower. It's locally it's just been crazy because it seems like our governments, our local governments here, and I'm going to qualify it that way, are more interested in development and getting into the way of certain businesses than they are in actually taking care of infrastructure and protecting its citizens.
Well, you use that word development, and you can define that in a whole lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that really concerned me just recently is that decision by, I think it was Judge Dawson, who said that the owner of the foundations group, which is 22 golf courses, can sell the whole thing piecemeal or all at once, whatever. He's free to sell it. And that's going to change the whole dynamic of Horry County. But one of the things that have been discussed many times at, say, Horry County council meetings was the fact that the developers here, the Hortons, the Lenars, are not responsible for building the infrastructure that's necessary in order to support another 300 houses. So
Isn't there a fee that they have to pay when they build a community? Don't they have to pay a fee? To the county?
See, and the other thing that's interesting too, and this was a number of years ago when I was chatting with some folks at the school board, is that the people on the school board are frequently the last to know that a new development is coming in to wherever. So these folks who have the responsibility to provide the schools to educate our kids, and I use that word in quotes to educate, but they don't know that Horton is putting up another 500 houses until after it's already done, and then you've got the traffic jams coming up McDowell shortcut up to 707, and they don't talk to each other, And I said this a couple of years ago, but it's not changed. They did set up a liaison guy, but the schools are not keeping up with the population increases because the schools don't know about it until after it's a fait accompli.
Oh, that doesn't just, I mean, the impact fee or the impact studies that should be going on in communications that you're talking about when they do these developments, I felt it firsthand on just the water impact fees for drainage. I live off of 67th Avenue North in Myrtle Beach, the armpit of the dunes, and we are along the chain of Pine Lakes that go to the ocean and then they come out. Yeah. And so I'm toward the Braxy side where it is by the oceans coming through. But when we had rainfall, because they filled in all this lowland along there, we virtually became an island because it flooded all over. And the only time that they really did anything after all these developments is when it started flooding Kings Highway. That's the only time. We kept saying, there's a problem here. Every time we had rains, there's a problem here. We're getting cut off on the street. We're getting cut off on the street. They wouldn't do anything about it. But as soon as we had these tropical storms and hurricane type events, and it cut off Kings Highway, then they said, uh-oh, we better do something about it. But we had concerns about that before they even broke ground for these things that were out there, because we said, these are all low-lying drainage areas that you're filling in.
Yes.
And
You said the key word there, an island.
yeah.
The Grand Strand is an island. We have the inland waterway to the west of us and the Atlantic Ocean on the east of us. And the developers seem to think, well, we'll just pack this island with one development after another. Well, it'd be nice if you could drive around. They're not thinking about the roads. Mm-hmm. We don't have that many roads, and the developers are definitely making it quite difficult for us to get around.
Well, they change the rules all the time, too, in zoning.
Yes, they do.
But when I moved here, when we first got property here in the early 80s, from the bypass to the inland waterway, you couldn't develop on it. It was illegal. You could not do it. So people longtime holders of land and everything else started selling out to Burroughs and Chapin and to Waccamaw land developers. When those entities just about got 100% of that land, all of a sudden
the rules changed.
The zoning changed. And all of a sudden it was okay because we can do these things and so on. And it was just like magic.
Yeah, and I mean the zoning and the infrastructure is something that really concerns people around here. I'll throw in something else too, because this happened just the other night. I don't know if you're familiar with that proposed psychiatric hospital.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, behavioral care. Hospital that they want to put in on 707 in Murrell's Inlet. And it was a nursing home there. I don't know whether they call them nursing homes or not anymore.
Assisted living.
Right.
It looks right merged with the neighborhood, almost like a cul-de-sac. Right at the edge of the building, you have the road of like a subdivision.
Yeah, and it's very close to the Georgetown County line. And the zoning board said, no, we're not going to approve this requested change. And the developer said, well, I'm going to court, and he did. And they're now in the mediation stage, and they had a meeting last night? Night before. And the room was packed, and people were just
irate.
The locals were outraged. Of course, you had your not in my backyard critics who say, well, we have to have this stuff. Why can't we have it? Well, those people all live in Carolina Forest or something. They don't, so I don't know what's going to happen with that one. I put in a call to Tyler Servant to ask him his thoughts, and I haven't heard back from him yet, but this was only yesterday. And Tyler is good about calling back. Maybe not immediately, but I'll hear from him. So I want to find out what his thoughts are. But it's like, okay, I'm going to take a nursing home and just convert it into a psych facility. And now, as part of the perhaps mediation on this, well, okay, we'll put up a wall, a gate, and a fence, and well, that's good. How about spotlights? And
I think she said a liaison or
Gun
something
turrets.
too for the. Well, the HOA could just have like a blow dart committee or something if something happens. Maybe
So it is-
they.
It's very important for locals to get involved. A couple of years ago, there was a developer that wanted to put 2,000 houses up in Burgess community off of 707, and the residents of the community were up in arms, and they voiced their concern, and the development was stopped. So you can have a bearing on the developers. You can stop the unnecessary, overcrowding of our beautiful Grand Strand.
one of the questions that I will ask, and I don't know who's got an answer to this, but are you all familiar with the 22 extension part of Ride 4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's supposed to take connect with where 22 connects to 501, and then take it through Bucksport,
Bucksport. Yep.
across the river and through the woods to Grandmother's. Well, so nobody knows exactly where this is going to be, and yet there are developers who want to put up houses along this whole stretch. And the representative from the county, when they were trying to successfully sell this nonsense, said, well, we want to connect it with 17 bypass, which bypass is nothing anymore, but that's another conversation. There's only one way in that whole area to connect it to 17 bypass, and that's down Holmestown Road.
Yeah.
That's it,
Yeah.
if you're going to stay in Horry County. So I'm thinking, you're going to put this bridge, and of course there's the conservationists and whatever are up in arms about it. Okay, and I'm not knocking them for that.
No.
But I'm just making the point. But they're going to put this, if it goes through, they're going to put this bridge someplace, and it's going to connect someplace right in the Burgess area, and the only way to connect it without ripping through neighborhoods is Holmestown Road. So it's like, okay, why don't you just put a halt on building anything there until you make up your minds about what you're going to do with this?
Yeah. Well, just to reassure you, it's all going to connect to our new fictitious interstate that's going to come into Myrtle Beach.
For the casinos?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Brian, according to one of your last episodes, or a while ago, I guess, called Your Tax Dollars at Work, I would bet pretty heavily that the developers will get their way. I'd like you to address the expenditures by our county board. I mean, we worry about the increases in our property tax, but how is the county board spending our money? I mean, they're giving millions of dollars to these housing developers. Why are they?
Well, they will say that when they approve a developer putting up houses or townhomes or whatever in a particular area, the developer has to post bond or put cash on deposit, if you will, with the county in order to make sure that if there are lawsuits and whatever involved in the development or all kinds of
Kind of like an escrow account.
yeah, okay. But it has to do with any complaints or the housing wasn't built to code or whatever. So what I have been told is that the money is that being returned once the housing development is finished. There are no lawsuits and that sort of thing. And okay, they're giving the money back. They're not paying out tax dollars. What I don't know, I can see what they're paying the developers. I don't know what the developers paid them. and I don't know if there was any difference between what was paid in and what was paid out. I'm not saying there is a difference. I'm just saying I don't know. But one of the biggest developers around here is D.R. Horton, and D.R. Horton was getting millions and millions of dollars paid to them from the county. Now, the county tells me, the same county that runs the police department, which has all those scandals, but never mind that. The freak-offs. But so I at the moment, I'll take their word for it because I haven't had the time to dig into any more of it.
Do you know why $34 million was given to the promoter of Palmetto Corporation of Conway?
I believe that person paves roads, doesn't he?
Oh, so it was for services rendered, $34 million to pave roads. I think they missed the ones in my community.
Or Island Green or Deerfield. Whoa.
Right.
But that's another whole conversation because the guy that owns the roads in Deerfield lives in Morristown, Tennessee or something like that.
What's the backstory to this Chinese owner who owns was it over a dozen golf courses?
Well, that's
one of your last.
That's part of the Fortune Group or whatever the group of golf courses.
The Founders Group?
Founders Group, yeah. I think it's a majority Chinese owned, wasn't it?
Or one Chinese owner who LLC'd it out.
Yeah, but the Chinese guy. This is all alleged.
Right.
I wasn't there.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yes. It was a Ponzi scheme, and the guy ripped off people who contributed to this thing, and also the Chinese police were after him.
Yeah.
Because he ripped off people in China too, supposedly, and now he is free. Well, I'm told he's living in North Carolina, and now he's free to, according to the judge, federal judge, to sell the whole thing.
Mayor Rhodes and a group of other politicians ended up being his poster child back in China when they made a visit.
Yeah, they made trips to China.
Yeah, and so the Chinese government actually was investigating them for trying to be in on the scheme too.
Who is this?
Mayor Rhodes.
Oh, and
and a group of other people. I don't
county
remember.
chairman. What's his name?
I'm not sure. I can't remember everybody that was
Mark
involved.
Lazarus.
Are you raising
Lazarus.
a name from the dead?
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
Okay, we're almost out of time here. I would like to talk to Brian about one more topic. Things will get better. You know why I know they're going to get better? Because we now have Doge SC, run by a guy named Ram Reddy. Brian, you interviewed him. What are the chances that things will get fixed in South Carolina with Doge SC?
Well, from actually what I just heard this morning on the radio, and I'm just saying I heard on the radio. I'm not attesting to its truthfulness or whatever. There seems to be enough pressure on the legislature that they're going to have to agree to change the JMSC process for selecting judges, and that to a large extent is being driven by Doge SC. It's also being driven by David Pasco. So there appears to be a lot of pressure to do that. And so to that extent, great. The other thing that Ron Reddy is really focusing on is the fact that a lot of what we have to put up with and live with here is regulation and what have you from departments that shouldn't even exist, or departments that are overstepping their bounds and saying you can do this and you can't do that. And Ron Reddy, as you may know, because it's public information, that he's involved in a lawsuit with the state because he built a containing wall or something, whatever. He has a beach house down in Isle of Palms, and he built this protecting wall to keep his property from going over to England and or Africa, wherever it is over there. And they sued him, and the local jurisdiction sued him, and the county agency for whatever sued him, and he's still involved with that. So he's very much a person that says, look, these agencies that were created for maybe a legitimate reason years ago, maybe not, have no authority to be doing what they're doing. And so, but that's an ongoing debate.
So it sounds to me like Doge SC is worthy of our support.
Yeah.
So there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a good thing. I was a little bit concerned because I wanted to know what concrete actions were being taken, and you've just described some very concrete
Well, the
actions.
JMSC thing is that one's got legs.
That's very important,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, South Carolina is one of the few states where we don't really have separation of powers. We don't have three branches of government. The judiciary is really controlled by the legislature. So a lot of stuff happens.
And there is a current debate about a Supreme Court justice because there are two contenders, one who's already on the court.
Good. Well, we're out of time. Thanks for being our guest on Conversations with the Hoff. My past episodes have stressed the importance of keeping a watchful eye on the shenanigans going on at the federal government. But I think you've heard there in this program that we also have to keep an eye on what's going on at our city, county, and state governments.
Absolutely.
And Brian, I hope you'll come again and talk to us about the wonderful world of Horry County politics. It's been very interesting.
Well, I'd like to, but I hope Facebook doesn't slam it.
So, thank you again. So during the next episode, we're going to switch gears again and have a conversation about medical freedom. Our guest will be a local expert on this issue, Veronica Collins. Thanks for listening. And now a word from our glorious leader, the executive director of Liberty Crack Media, Trip Detmering.
I would just want to remind our listeners to get on your YouTubes and other devices to watch Regular Joe. Regular Joe is
Regular Joe Grand Strand.
GrandStrand.com. Yes, and Brian's content is absolutely spot on, like we were just told by the Hoff. And check out our newly updated website at libertycrackmedia.com, because evidently we're not going to be, Meta is not going to recommend our Facebook page anymore. And
Gee, I wonder why.
yeah.
You can get Regular Joe also on David Hux's MyrtleBeachSC.com.
MyrtleBeachSC.com. Great. All right. Well, thank you so much. Tune in. We drop every Thursday with Conversations with the Hoff.
Late night coffee, truth on our tongues, talking freedom while the radio hums. Less red tape and more open doors. The founder's vision we're fighting for. Hands off my dreams, hands off my pay. Let the people chart their own way. Conversations with the Hoff. Liberty's the hill we're walking off. From Main Street lights to the courthouse steps. We'll say what we mean and mean what we say. Bibles open on the dashboard ledge. Constitution burning through the pledge. No kings here, just the rule of law and the right to speak without a flaw. Hands off my dreams, hands off my pay. Let the people chart their own way. rise to the self-made man, to the hands that build and the hearts that stand. One nation under God's own grace, with room to rise and space to chase.